I, in maybe a blissfully optimistic lens, am choosing to believe that things will change, at least from what I'm assuming of the people that I know in this generation. There is an element of things are happening so often we can become desensitized to that. But there also is the awareness now that it's not enough to say, oh, I'm just going to avoid those situations, because those situations are now unavoidable. People are getting shot and murdered in churches, in schools, in libraries, in public spaces that we all have interacted with at some point in our lives. So the desensitization doesn't necessarily come from a complacency. I think that it comes from we've seen this so much and we're tired of it. But there is also, in that same regard, an element of what can I do? Where I feel like we are taught the only way to make political change is if you're in office. And the only way that we can participate in that democracy is by voting. So there is an element of, okay, well, I'm not going to go to the march. I'm not going to go to the protest. I'm not going to write my elected officials. I'm not going to give the phone calls because my voice doesn't matter in those spaces. When in reality, I think there needs to be a resurgence that we had in 2020, that we had in the civil rights movement, where the fight does not stop. The fight doesn't always necessarily have to be a 24/7, this is what I do for my life. It doesn't have to mean that I'm in office making all of these changes by myself and signing the bills and the papers. But the fight, honestly, is enough to have the conversations with your neighbors to say, hey, this is still going on, or to go to your community centers and to volunteer, or to try to do things in your own community and in your own backyard to prevent the violence, to cause more of a sense of an awareness, to rebuild that sense of community. I think that genuine change happens when communal values are strong. And that doesn't mean that nationwide we all have to feel and believe the same thing, but no fight gets won individually. There's so much power in numbers, and I think that I really believe, perhaps optimistically, that we will start to see genuine change if we can get masses of people to come together and find some sort of way to speak proudly and boldly about the changes that we want to see.